reporting on the Arab Springs movement. Social media has a growing influence on today's society. Websites such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter are used to convey information more quickly and efficiently than ever before. To us in the United States, these social media outlets are used innocently, but to many citizens of Middle Eastern countries, these websites provide the means of communication in attempts to overthrow their country's governments and promote societal change. In several countries in the Mid-East, our correspondents are exploring what happens when social media meets social change in a series of uprisings known as the Arab Spring.
Hi, this is Jaime Mangold reporting from Egypt. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been traveling among several Middle Eastern countries in the midst of a revolution that is part of the Arab Spring. Since December of 2010, protests, demonstrations, and civil wars of different degrees have been occurring in the countries of Northern Africa. The governments of these countries are very oppressive and do not provide the citizens the freedoms that they deserve. There have been minor protests in countries such as Sudan and Saudi Arabia, major protests that are escalating in Algeria and Iraq, and even overthrown governments in Libya, Egypt, and Tunisia. Syria is also in the midst of a civil war. Many of the protests have turned violent, but have yielded positive results in challenging their governments. The people living in these Middle Eastern countries are upset because they feel that their country is being ruled by a dictator, are suffering economically, and that their human rights are being violated. The protests initially escalated because a man who set himself on fire in Tunisia was protesting police corruption. Since then, the most organized protests have occurred during Friday afternoon prayers, which have been known as a day of rage. President fled to Saudi Arabia in January of 2011. The Egyptian president resigned in February of 2011 due to massive protests, and the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi government was overthrown in the August of 2011 and was killed that October. The events occurring from the Arab Spring are causing a chain reaction that is inspiring protesters and revolutionaries throughout the Middle East. Though over the course of history there have been numerous protests and revolutions held, none have ever been so heavily influenced by the presence of social media. Protesters here in the Middle East are using these websites to plan for their protests and raise awareness of the issues that are sweeping their nation.
Thanks, Jamie. Social media sites have acted as a catalyst for freedom in the Middle Eastern countries involved in the Arab Springs. If websites such as Facebook and YouTube can aid protesters and revolutionaries in raising awareness in their actions in attempts to change or overthrow their government, imagine what can happen if Americans wanted to take action on a pressing issue in our nation. This is CNN News, and have a nice day.